In today's video, we're stepping back into the sweltering summer of 1787, where a group of weary yet determined delegates gathered in Philadelphia to reshape the future of the United States. This is a story of the Constitutional Convention, a moment of fierce debate, compromise, and the birth of the most enduring framework of government in the modern world. Let's get started. In the wake of Shays Rebellion, a frightening armed uprising in Massachusetts by discontented farmers, it became clear that the existing government, under the Articles of Confederation, wasn't up to the task. The rebellion had exposed a critical flaw: too much liberty and not enough security. The need for a stronger, more balanced national government became undeniable. So, in May of 1787, 55 delegates from all states except for Rhode Island convened at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Their stated purpose: to amend the Articles of Confederation. But very quickly, they realized something more drastic was needed. Before the heavy debates even began, the delegates managed to agree on three key points. Number one, George Washington would preside over the proceedings, a unanimous and unifying choice. Number two, the deliberations would be kept secret, shielding the delegates from outside pressures and public chaos. And lastly, number three, and most importantly, the Articles of Confederation were beyond repair. They would be scrapped altogether. But with those initial agreements made, the harmony quickly gave way to heated debate. The first major conflict centered on representation in the new government. Edmund Randolph of Virginia introduced the Virginia Plan, favored by larger states, which proposed a bicameral legislature with representation in both houses based on population. Smaller states pushed back. William Paterson of New Jersey presented the New Jersey Plan, calling for a unicameral legislature in which every state had an equal vote. The deadlock was broken by Roger Sherman of Connecticut, who proposed what became known as the Connecticut Compromise, or more famously, the Great Compromise. It created the Congress that we know today: an upper house, the Senate, where each state, big or small, had equal representation, and a lower house, the House of Representatives, with representation based on population. Next came the most painful and divisive issue: slavery and representation. Southern states wanted enslaved people counted for representation but not taxation. Northern states adamantly disagreed. James Madison introduced the Three-Fifths Compromise, which counted three out of every five enslaved people for both representation and taxation purposes. It was a political calculation that gave slaveholding states increased power in the House of Representatives, and it also foreshadowed deep national conflicts yet to come. Trade regulation became another hotbed of dispute. Northern delegates pushed for a strong federal role in regulating commerce. Southern delegates, fearing export taxes and restrictions on the slave trade, resisted. The Commerce Compromise resolved the issue. Congress could regulate trade and levy tariffs on imports, but it could not tax exports, and it could not prohibit the international slave trade for 20 years, that is, until 1808. To further appease the South, the Fugitive Slave Clause was added, requiring that enslaved individuals who escaped be returned to their owners, even if they had reached a free state. The next question was who would lead this new nation and how? Some delegates wanted a strong national executive, elected directly by the people and serving a long term. Others, fearing tyranny, wanted the states to select the president with short terms. The presidency compromise struck a middle path. The president would serve a 4-year term, and the president would be chosen indirectly through the newly created Electoral College system. This system was designed to balance the will of the people with the influence of the states. With the structure of the new government settled, A five-man committee was tasked with writing the final draft. On September 17th, 1787, 39 delegates signed the new Constitution. But the journey wasn't over. The Constitution still needed to be ratified by at least 9 states to go into effect. And so the ratification battle began. There were two groups that emerged. The Federalists supported the Constitution. They believed in a strong central government and feared the chaos of decentralized power. Prominent Federalists like Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay wrote a series of 84 essays, later published as the Federalist Papers, to persuade Americans to ratify the Constitution. The Anti-Federalists opposed the Constitution. They wanted strong state governments and feared tyranny from a powerful national authority. They wrote what became known as the Anti-Federalist Papers, arguing that the Constitution lacked clear protections for individual rights. Despite fierce opposition, ratification moved quickly during the winter of 1787 into 1788. By early 1789, the first elections were held. George Washington was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States and was inaugurated on April 30th, 1789, in New York City. Congress got to work immediately. By September of 1789, it had approved 12 amendments to the Constitution. 10 of those were ratified by the states by 1791, becoming what we know today as the Bill of Rights, safeguarding freedoms like speech, religion, assembly, and due process. The Constitutional Convention of 1787 was more than just a meeting, it was a monumental turning point in American history. Through compromise, debate, and determination, a fractured group of states formed a lasting union and laid the foundation for the U.S. Constitution, an experiment in self government that continues to evolve today. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.